Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome back to another My Little Pony Adventures in Equestria deck building game. This is for Collision Course, which is a crossover expansion with Transformers more than meets the eyes. Yes, you are reading that right. My Little Ponies crossing over with Transformers. It is crazy. Transformers have crossed over in the Marvel Universe before with, G.I. Joes all the time left and right, so that's not surprising, but it's crazy for them to be at the My Little Ponies, but it's going to make for an interesting new mechanics to the game. So like other expansions, this still does require a core set to play because you need all your sugar cubes, your starting cards, and all that. But like the other expansions as well, you're still going to get your pretty much your full adventure deck. You have 11 new situation cards, so you're going to get a bunch more situations, which are fun. Your 9 hurdles, your final challenges, so you can still play them. 7 character cards. Most of the other expansions have had about 4 or 5, so you're getting a few more in here. 7 location cards, so you'll have to still borrow some from the core set. Bunch of reference cards, standees, character bases, and some new tokens, because there are some new mechanics for this game. Now, like every other set as well, you can either pretty much just play this as its own thing, or you could mix and match it with other stuff. So that's what makes it really interesting. Now, there's a couple of things that you might want to change out here or there. So you're playing with some of the stuff from this set's obviously going to work better with the characters from this set because the Transformer parts have a little bit more special mechanics. But we'll kind of get into them as we go along. So there are new starting characters. So they're a combination of a pony and one of the Transformers. Interesting enough, though, some are Autobots, some are Decepticons. So it's kind of interesting to see how that works out. We're going to get a bunch of new different tokens, which we'll go over for each character. The circle tokens, which we haven't had. Then we got some new kind of sugar cube energy tokens. And if we flip these over, there's little batteries on the back. And I'm going to go over them in just a moment here, but those are some of the new tokens. But they're going to match your sugar cube colors. Your pinks, your greens, and your blues. And then, of course, each character has a starting card, which will match how they do. And then certain characters will get tokens as well. So, I was going to say some of the characters will have a specific reference card, tell you what tokens use and kind of how they work. And there's just a reminder there. Also, robots start off with battery tokens as well as the reference card now ready to set them up. So we did have... Alright, so this says take the matching character card for your team and place it in front of you, starting side face up. Insert the matching stand into the plastic stand base, put it on a central location. Place 3 battery tokens, one of each color, next to each character card on its Engeron sugar cube side as demonstrated on the next page. So that was showing they're going to appear like this. So you're going to have cards now that represent a sugar cube, or an Engeron, which the Transformers use. So that's kind of interesting. We're going to get that. New situations, new stuff like that. So there are some new locations. So one big thing is we have the Autobot, Cybertron Autobot HQ. Now it says important, do not use the Ponyville Town Square from the core set when you're playing with materials from the set, as your team will miss out on Autobot HQ's upgraded Engeron bonus. So this is a specific one because you're using the Transformers. You're going to want this Autobot HQ. Now, if you're if you're using a bunch of the cards from the set, but not using the Autobot main characters, or I shouldn't say Autobot, the Transformer main characters, then you could go ahead and swap with a different one. But yeah, you'll kind of see as we go along how they kind of mix together. Setting up the deck, all that, nothing extra special there. So we have new mechanics. Many of the brand new mechanics set feature new symbols for you to generate and spend Engeron, and as that's what robots need in order to thrive. Engeron can come in 3 different colors, green, pink, and blue. But if you see a black one, it's wild, so much like all the other stuff. You might be thinking those seem familiar. Oh, probably because they're just like your sugar cubes. So battery tokens. You may spend one available Engeron of any color to flip over a corresponding battery token to create a completed battery. Now it's ready to be used for character abilities. If you require a complete battery token of a particular color, have no Engeron available, you may discard a matching sugar cube instead. Those robots are really resourceful. And when you need to spend a completed battery token for any purpose, you must flip them back to their Engeron sugar tube or incomplete side. There's no limit to how many times a battery token may be flipped in a turn. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to have these sugar cubes / energy tokens, and then you can spend one to fill it up, and then you put it back down. So these aren't resources to spend necessarily. They're not like, oh, I have a sugar cube or an Engeron to necessarily spend on something else, as much as they're used to fill up your battery, and then you can use them as a resource that way. So convert and collaborate. Each new character comes with 2 abilities to help out your team. Both abilities make use of battery token system, as a robot runs an Engeron, and definitely not too cumbersome, which is rarity. Starting ability may help making purchases cards easier, or they might be quite useful in deal with certain situations in chaos. In contrast, flip side abilities are one-turn effect and may change momentum of the game for the better, so they're best used when the team is feeling under pressure of the final challenge. To use your starting side ability, you need to store generated Engeron to complete a battery token. So, for example, we're just going to do a quick look at rarity and RC here. So, for control, I need 1 pink and 1 of any other color to use, and then to spend it, I can spend the other 2 to flip this card over. And then when we're on the other side, I just have another set there. You get a special ability at start turn. You have to spend 3 more of each to do a special bigger effect that flips it over. So, these guys are going to have, they can't just flip the user abilities, they have to build up Engeron. Yeah, so right here it's showing there's the same exact idea there. Once you get 3, then you can spend them and flip them over. Cool. So we kind of got that as an idea. We'll see more of that as we go along. Flip side, how they do that. And we did do all that. So coding Tango. Some of the new characters have brought over a few useful tokens with them by activating their flipped ability. They're able to immediately use these tokens from their personal supplies. Each type of token has different effects described. These tokens are discarded every turn that player's supplies. They can reuse them later on. I'm not going to go through all of them right now. We'll go through them as we go through the characters. That goes through all of them. We have our situations and hurdles. Players weren't the only ones getting upgrades, so did the bad things. So just kind of explaining what some of them go a little bit higher. Again, we'll just go over them when we look through them. But we have a new thing here. Decepticon hurdles and sometimes situations set feature an all-new keyword intercept. When a team attempts to overcome the active hurdle, cards from the adventure will be intercepted. Each time cards are intercepted, you must tuck the leftmost matching cards of the adventure row underneath provided reference card. If there are no legal targets, skip this set. If the team has successfully overcome the active hurdle before the setback has been suffered, the cards placed under the reference card will all be shuffled back into the deck. If the setback has been suffered, remove all accumulated cards from the game after the active hurdle has been discarded. So this is kind of a neat idea. So it's like they're gonna steal some of your cards from your game, and if you can beat it, great. You get them cards shuffled back in the deck. No one actually gets those cards, but they become available potentially again to use. But if you don't, you lose them. And the problem is you do this too many times, you lose too many cards from your deck, the game is going to end. Alright, then we have some keywords that have been in a bunch of the previous sets, but we're not in the core set. So we have Discover. To discover, you simply need to look and count the name of traits, which are the star, moon, or mountain, or keywords such as Autobot and Decepticon. From this set, there could be other ones like Leader, Crusader, Captain, Wonderbolt, Pet, from other expansions if you're mixing these. So you're going to look for any of them with any cards in your hand under your control, so something on the table, in the hands of other players, or cards under their control, all during your current turn. So yeah, you're working with your team just to try and find more copies of these different cards. So the more each person collects, the better. if you start mixing and matching too many sets and some of these words become very diluted, you only have one or two, they're not going to be nearly as powerful. On the other hand, if you load up a deck with a bunch of the same keywords and use Discover, some of these effects can be very overpowered. So you can tailor your game to how easy you want it to be. And then there's solo play, and then there's just a quick guide, kind of explaining how some of this works. So it says like Twilight Sparkle Optimus Prime can store green energy gauge and the black energy gain from Superion as a pink to activate their ability. So they're basically spending this and spending that and turning it into battery charges to use their ability. And then once they play Wingblade, they can store the blue Energon as well into their power card. So they're going to start with their tokens on this side. And then when they gain one of those energies, they flip it over to the full battery side. And then now once you have your full battery side, it just sits there. So unlike your regular resource tokens or sugar cubes, which you can collect as many as you want, these are only going to be able to fill up once, and then you're going to need to use them. So you kind of need to manage using these more often and not just saving them and saving them and saving them. So that's going to be a big thing there. But most of the character cards, is once you have them, you can start spending them to flip them over. And to present a stronger version of yourself, don't forget to flip all your tokens back on to show that they've been run out. This is showing it costs either an energy or a sugar cube to flip it over. They can now start gearing back up on their turn if they generate one black stores a green battery, and by playing Grimlock Knockout, they can flip their other two battery tokens. You don't have to flip all of them on the same turn, but if you do, it's amazing. So now all three batteries are done, they can flip it over and use their special ability. Alright, so there's a lot to go through there, but let's head in and look at our brand new characters. And again, we're going to look at our RC rarity, which we already kind of looked at. Just kind of fun. They're going to have two different symbols on the top, which are just a combination of the Autobot and or Decepticon symbol, and then whatever the cutie mark is for the ponies. We have rarity and RC. And then the color is going to be like the color card kind of for that pony, and then red or purple for Autobot. Autobot or Decepticon. Alright, so rarity is riding RC here. Starting side, if you have a pink and any color battery, you may use 2 resource tokens as 2 wilds instead. So you can spend these, and then it lets you just swap your resources around. And then you can spend 2 to flip this card. And if we flip it, she transforms. Start your turn, gain 1 pink energy, so you'll always have a pink one ready to go. And you can spend 3. Target player may remove up to 2 cards from their hand and or discard pile from the game, then flip this card. They also get, of course, their starting card. Kindred Spirits. So it's going to provide a one horseshoe luck, or technically help, move, and then 1 blue. So you may move this card from the game to gain 1 sugar cube. So, hey, like early on, very helpful. Later on, it might just be worth, hey, I really need that sugar cube. Alright, up next, we have Pinkie Pie and Gage, or Gage. Who has starting side, have a green and any color. You perform a non-repeatable task, reduces cost by 1 of any of the 3 types. Spend a pink and a blue to flip this card. Alright, Transformed. Start your turn, gain 1 green energy. Spend 1 of each color. Target player may search their deck for a card and add it to their hand, then shuffle their discard pile into their deck and flip this card. Nice. Get an extra card. Card search is always good. That's showbiz, babe. Each time a card is removed from the adventure row on your turn, immediately refill the adventure row. Very helpful, just to get your row filled back up. Alright, then we have Fluttershy and Soundwave. Soundwave is one of my favorite Transformers. Control a pink and any color at any time reduce the active player's cost to overcome chaos by 3 of one different color. Alright, so this one's neat. It's not going to be as useful as the other ones, in the sense you're not going to use it as much because you're waiting for a chaos to come up, but when it hits, it's going to be very powerful. So you might spend more time with Soundwave flipping him back and forth than using his starting ability. So for a green and blue, we just flip him over. Start your turn, you gain 1 pink energy. And then spend 3. Deploy or redeploy mini cassette tokens, then flip this card. What are mini Decepticons? Or mini cassette tokens? So he has a reference card here. You're going to get 3 of these, 1 for each one of your 3 characters, which will be Laserbeak, I want to say that's Ratback, and Ravage. I believe those are the 3 of them. So he goes, during setup, do this card of Fluttershy Soundwave with your cards and the mini cassettes. Then you have the rule card just set up ready to go so you can see what it does. So it says deployment. Distribute all mini cassettes to any number of non-central locations, while mini cassette is deployed at the location. Fluttershy and Soundwave may perform tasks at the location as if your standee were there, then discard 1 mini cassette from this location. 2, if a mini cassette shares a location with the active player, Fluttershy and Soundwave may contribute to any resource token they control to assist in performing any task. And then if a location is discarded, any mini cassette that is also discarded, you may redeploy the next time. You may redeploy mini cassettes between locations when this ability is used next. So basically what this essentially does is it treats the 3 other tokens as extra versions of yourself, which you can use to perform extra location tasks or to help out other players. So essentially Soundwave and Fluttershy can control being 4 different locations at a time until a location gets defeated. Then it flips over, then you have to wait to replay them. But what's awesome is if they're already out and you get to deploy them, you get to move the other ones around if you would like. Because maybe you're like, hey, you know what? At this time, we got 2 new locations I like better than this other one. You can move guys around. So that's pretty cool. Then we have their starter card. Friendship is superior, which would be more about how he sounds. It's not his voice. It's I can't do it very well. If you give a sugar cube, you may give a sugar cube to another player. If you do, gain 2 luck. Cool. So again, you can kind of help people out that way. Nice. Up next, we have the main Transformer, Twilight Sparkle and Optimus Prime. For 2 of any color, reduce the luck cost of all Adventure Road cards by 1. Definitely not. That's a very helpful leader ability. Pay for 3 to flip this. We are going to gain 1 of any color. So you can see how he's very powerful. Or spend 3, deploy or redeploy your Space Bridge token, then flip this card. So, he's going to get this little Space Bridge token, which has a little Engeron arrow on it. During setup, give this card to Twilight Sparkle Optimus Prime along with your Space Bridge token, then flip the card. That's all the rules say there. Deployment. Randomly select a location from outside the game as an extra location. Place it below the central location, and cover its movement cost with the Space Bridge location. Moving this location costs 1 of any Engeron. If this location is discarded, discard the Space Bridge. You may redeploy it to a new card when this ability is next used. If this ability is used with Space Bridge is still on a card, then that card will be discarded. So you're not going to be able to keep out 4 or 5 extra locations, basically. If it's on that card, and you choose to move it to a different card or redeploy it to draw a new card, you get rid of the old one. But Shiny adds a full extra location in the game, which is neat. It's kind of random. It's like Optimus has like these any color Engeron. He can use any color for his ability, so he's a little bit more versatile. But then his ability is sort of 100% random. It's adding in 3 extra tasks that could something you could really use, something that might not be as helpful. Although I think locations just in general are helpful. Then your starting card is a Powerful Bond. You may pay 1 sugar cube to gain 1 resource token, or 1 resource token to gain 1 sugar cube. Very, very powerful. Alright, up next we have another Decepticon. I wish it was almost like more of a split ratio between Decepticons and Autobots. We have Applejack and Wild Wheel, which is a very good combination here. So, for 1 blue and 1 of any color, at any time reduce the active player's cost to resolve a situation. So, kind of like Soundwave, where his is for chaos, this is for situation. So they're not going to be beneficial all the time, but when they are beneficial, they're very beneficial. If we flip him, this is why he's kind of a desperado gunslinger, so he works with Applejack as a theme. So start a turn, gain 1 blue energy, deploy or redeploy your lasso token. So they will get the lasso token, which will look like that, of course, as you can see. During setup, do this card deck, activate them, give them, then flip the card. They get their lasso token. Deployment, place 1 non-situation card from the adventure roll in front of you with the lasso on it. On a future turn, you may purchase this card for half its cost, rounded down, and add it to your hand, then discard the lasso. You may redeploy the lasso to a new card when this ability is next used. If this ability is used while lasso is still on a card, then that card will be discarded. So kind of like the space bridge. This is kind of helpful because if you get a early on, you can get for a cheap card, get a 4-cost card for 2, or a 3-cost card for 1, because half of 3 would be 1.5, and you round it down to 1. Or later on, you get some of the higher cost, sometimes artifacts or ally cards that cost 7. Also, now they're 3 cost. That could be very helpful. You get a high-powered card very early in the game. As early as you can, I guess, get 7 or get 3 Engerons on you. Their ally card is Mighty Fine Shooting Partner. I like how they both have whips. +2 if a cloud cover modifier is in effect. So again, helpful later in the game, but maybe not super useful early on. Alright, our next combination, Rainbow Dash and Wingblade, the flyers of the team. Starting side, 1 blue and 1 of any color. Reduce the resource roll cost of all ally cards in the adventure roll by 1. Make your allies cheaper. And then when we transform, gain 1 blue energy, spend 1 of each color to remove 1 cloud, then prevent all cloud that will be added for the remainder of this turn, then flip this card. So yeah, this could be one of the helpful things if there's situations in play you know you can't deal with. This could stop lots of that stuff. But on the other hand, if there's nothing that's going to be providing it, you might flip this over and just it might just sit around and not do anything. Interesting though. We have Born Ready Bolts. So they're getting ready to race. Each time you complete a non-repeatable task this turn, you move to a new location at no cost. Cool. So it lets you kind of move around. And it says each time you complete one, so you could do this several times and not have to keep using movement. If you have a bunch of maybe movement cards and movement-based tasks, you could easily just jump around. Alright, and then our last combination is Spike and Grimlock, the 2 dinosaurs, I guess. Instead of starting side, a green in any color, reduce the resource cost of all actions in the adventure roll by 1, then spend a pink and blue to flip this. And when we flip it, we have start your turn and gain 1 energy, spend 3 to deploy or redeploy your Dinobot tokens. So we will get our Dinobot tokens, which set up, which we've already shut up all the rest, we may as well have those in there, which is Sludge, Slag, which might not be his name anymore because they keep changing these, and oh, I can't remember the last one's name. I'm sure they will pop up as cards somewhere and we will get to them that way. There's 5 Dinobot tokens. It's interesting, you only get 3 instead of all 5, but I guess it's probably just for balance reasons. So deployment, distribute all Dinobot tokens amongst any players. Dinobots act like resource tokens when used to generate resources, but are not considered resource tokens for any other purpose. You may redeploy tokens when this ability is next to you. So basically they let one person have 2 book, one have 2 move, and one have 2 horseshoes. So one of each of the 2 different costs. And then their team up card and starter card is Honorary Dinobot. So +3 if you control at least one ally, action, and artifact. So again, very good, but getting that artifact might be a little bit trickier. The other 2 not as bad. Alright, so those are our different ally cards. We're gonna look at our locations next. So we do have one difference here, is we have a big giant location here, so giant oversized cards, same as our character cards and everything, which has a picture of them. This is our starting location, which is Cybertron, Autobot HQ. Costs 1 to move to, but it has a special effect. Engeron bonus, gain 1 green, blue, or pink energy if you start your turn at a Cybertron location. So this is the idea. Autobots can move here, or these cards, I guess. Any of the Transformers, they can gain extra energy to help them pay for their abilities quicker. But we also have the ability to pay for stuff. Pay 1 move or 1 Engeron to exchange 1 sugar cube with another from the supply. Pay 2 books or Engeron to remove 1 card from your discard pile from the game, or pay 3 luck and 3 Engeron to gain a +2 book, luck, or movement token. It's kind of fun because this will definitely work. If you ignore the top one, it'll work for any other game as well. Just the Engeron lets you get extra abilities to use them. We have some more Cybertrons. I'm going to drop this one back down. And these have the same backs as all the regular ones, so you can mix and match them with everything else. But we have Cybertron Metro City. Alright, cast. Pay up to 3 book to have target player draw 1 card for each book spent. Pay 3 luck to shuffle the adventure row discard pile, then drop the 2 cards and place them on top of the adventure deck. Interesting. So you don't know it's 2 cards, but you're going to refresh 2 cards. That's kind of fun. Or pay 8 to gain 3 green cubes. Spend this, reduce this cost by 1 for each green Engeron spent. That's to specifically be the green ones, but it can help you get them a little bit cheaper. We're going to have a very similar one. This we have Cybertron the Wastelands. Pay 3 to gain 2 different resource tokens or 1 sugar cube. Task, draw 2 cards and add 1 cloud to the final challenge. That's interesting, just straight up penalty for doing that, but it might be worth it if you need them cards. Or pay 8 to gain 3 pink or reduced by 1 for each pink Engeron spent. And then we have Cybertron the Ancient Titans. Pay 2 books to reveal the top card of each player's deck, then target player draws 1 card. Oh, that's a great team ability, so you can kind of see who has what, who might gain the most. Pay 2 move to gain 1 sugar cube. If there's only a sugar cube you control, target player also gains a sugar cube. Or pay 8 to gain 3 blue, reduce 1 for each blue spent. And our last Cybertron location is the Outskirts. Pay 3 book to search your deck for a card and add it to your hand, then shuffle your deck. Pay 5 to move target player. Have target player gain 1 resource token and 1 sugar cube, or pay 8 to have target players gain 3 sugar cubes total. So this one doesn't get a reduced cost, but it lets any player gain 3 of whatever colors they need. So that's definitely powerful as well. Then we have Manhattan. Discard 2 resource tokens to draw 2 cards. You may immediately remove both of these cards from the game. Interesting. You don't have to, but you have to either keep both or remove both. It's not up to both. Interesting. Pay 3 to gain 1 book to gain 1 card from the adventure roll that costs 3 or fewer resources and add it to your hand. And pay 6 to draw 2 cards and gain 2 sugar cubes. Interesting. So yeah, the top one, you can discard 2 resources to draw 2 cards, or the bottom you can pay 6 to draw 2 cards. Alright, and our last location is La Pegasus. Which says pay 2 book to draw 1 card, then you may discard the drawn card to draw another. So kind of similar to the other one. Pay 4 move to gain the first non-situation card from the adventure deck, then reshuffle the deck. Or pay 6 to the top hurdle card of the chaos deck, then gain a sugar cube equal to its difficulty level. Interesting. Very, very cool, different cards. Alright, we're going to head into our main deck cards then. We're going to start off with our artifacts. We have 1 copy of each of these. 100 ways to get them good. Ongoing. At the start of your next turn, place a resource token from the supply on this card for a max of 4. On your turn, you may remove this card from the game to gain all resource tokens on this card. This is a fun one. You just save up until you need them, but it's a one-time effect. And then the other one is funny book from that pony world. Ongoing, at the start of your turn, draw 1 card if a cloud cover modifier is in effect. You may remove this card from the game to gain 2 sugar cubes. Nice. So earlier on, it might not be as good unless you have a cloud cover. But even then, every time it's an extra card every turn. But you might need them sugar cubes more importantly. Alright, then we're going to head into our allies. So, we'll have 2 copies of each of these until I say otherwise. But we have the extended Apple family. There's that Apple Pie, there's a Grandma and Grandpa one. There's that Cherry. I don't know if that's technically even an apple. That's kind of funny, looks like Marvel endgame thing that everyone comes through the portals. Gain 1 sugar cube if you do not control any sugar cubes. I realize I said this was like Marvel Endgame, but this scene may have appeared in the cartoon before Endgame. So just saying that. I don't know. But yeah, nice. Cheap to gain some extra sugar cubes. So we're going to have Knockout, who's a Decepticon. Place any 2 starter cards from your discard pile on top of your deck. So you're not the best getting starter cards, but again, it could be your specialty starter card. But that's not bad. It's always helpful to get more cards, I guess. Ratchet, he's an Autobot, +1 for each Autobot you have discovered, including Ratchet. So he'll give you bonuses for having more of him. We have RC, who's an Autobot as well, will give you +2 luck for each Decepticon you have discovered. And the Dinobots as a team. Autobot, you may play 1 card from your discard pile on top of your deck. Nice. So the other one lets you put 2 starter cards specifically. This will let you only put 1 card, but it can be any card. We have Winged Blade. We've got 3 stars. You have something that gives you bonuses for having more of the same symbols. There you go. Autobot, gain a +2 move token for each task token at your current location. That's cool. We have Bumblebee, which surprisingly he wasn't one of the main playable characters. He's usually like the go-to for everything. I'm actually kind of glad for that reason. Like, he always seems to be like the main focus for everything. It's just kind of nice that he kind of took a back seat a little bit. Gain a 2 luck token for. Then you may give a resource token to another player. Cool. So you gain a token, and then you could give an additional token to somebody else. That is all we have for duplicate cards. There's a lot more, like half duplicates, half singles. So the rest of these cards will all be single cards. We have Robo Discard. It says when you discard this card at the end of your turn, you may remove another card you control from the game. We have Superion. Punching the Dinobots. Saying Autobot, +1 for each Autobot and Decepticon you have discovered, a max of 5. green light. Autobot, you may gain 1 Autobot or Decepticon from the adventure roll. If you choose a Decepticon, add 2 to the final challenge. Interesting. Then we got some more just the Young Six. Kind of have just some pony cards in here as well. +1 of each type for each other player at your location. That is very, very nice. Good old Optimus Prime, who has the 3 moons, which is that 2, 2, and 2, and a pink energy. Autobot and a leader, +1 of each type, or of each type, for each cloud on the final challenge, max of 3. So you can get up to possibly 3. But nice, because it could be 3 of the same, or a mixture of any of the 3. Then we have Quibble Pants. He's not even wearing pants, but look at his little comic book bubble on his cutie mark. Discard the top 3 cards of your deck as you lost precious minutes arguing with Quibble Pants again. Why would you want to discard 3 cards on the top of your deck, you may ask? If you know there's nothing you want in there, it might be worth it. Maybe to empty your deck quicker so you can reshuffle your discard pile. Also, the fact that this card costs 2 and gives you 5 book. So it had to have some sort of setback. We have Lofty and Holiday, who have +1 for each ally you control with a unique keyword, max 3. Octavia Melody. Pretend you're playing the cello and have target player gain 1 resource token. Drop these guys off. We have a couple more. We have Wild Wield, who's a Decepticon. For each Decepticon you have discovered, including Wild Wield, another player must discard 1 card of their choice from their hand. So you get some good stuff with 3 and 3, and a blue Engeron does have a cloud though. But again, this could maybe be just negated if everyone look around, hey, anyone else have Decepticons? And okay, you know, so if there's a lot of Decepticons, he might not be worth playing because you might have to discard a lot, because everyone's going to have to discard at least 1 card to play him. So it can be a risky gamble, but people could look like, yeah, I have a starter card I can toss. Go ahead and play him. Again, teamwork. He's a Decepticon, but he's forcing teamwork. Gauge, Autobot. Target player draws 1 card, and target player gains 1 resource. Can be different players. Love when we have options. We have Grimlock. Autobot and leader. You may search your deck for an Autobot and add it to your hand, then shuffle your deck. Soundwave, Decepticon leader. Gain a +2 luck token, a +2 book token, and a +2 move token. You may not use any resource tokens as long as you control this card. Oh, cool. So you gain 1 of them for this turn, for 1 of each. You just can't use them during this turn then. But it does provide a cloud. And then our final ally card are the mini cassettes. Look, there's a Rumble back there. Decepticon. For each Autobot you have discovered, discard 1 resource token you control. So again, 3 mountains can be very powerful, but it's going to come at that cost of hurting everybody. And this again can be like with this set, like in the same, or some of these where you have a lot of the same cards, some of this can be very difficult. If you want to negate that a bit, you could just put Decepticon in your set. Then you have to worry about the Autobot side. Or vice versa, have just him by himself or few. You know, you can kind of play around with that when you customize your decks. Alright, we're going to hop into our action cards. Same as before, 2 copies until I say otherwise. We have Boo Boo Cream. Each player at your location gains a +2 book token. Not bad. Not bad at all. Time to Kick Some Tail. Gain 1 green Engeron for each ally you control, and it's produced a green sugar cube. So now this could be one of the ones where you could argue whether or not it's worth keeping in there if nobody's playing as Transformers. It still provides 1 sugar cube, which is pretty good. but if you could comparably find another 4-card cost in another set that does the same thing, but has an effect you can use, I would swap it out for that. So some of these might not make sense to keep playing unless you're going to use Autobots. Here's another one like that, same idea. Falling with Style. It provides a pink cube, but says gain 1 pink energon for each ally you control. And then we have the third one of that. Perfectly Panned Out. Gain 1 blue for each ally you control. Unite as one. Friendship. Gain 1 1 green or 1 blue. Engeron. Alright, so all the rest of these, there's only one. So this is kind of like the allies that have a lot more different cards, I think, because they're trying to, like, complete as much of this Transformers story as they possibly can in one set. And make it a lot more unique by not having a ton of duplicates like they do with the other ones that are meant more for mixing and matching. So Reach Out from the Heart. You may discard an ally from your hand to draw 2 cards. Nice. Not bad at all. Altus Volantis. You +1 luck for each complete pink energon you control by any player. Neat. Again, so this could be a very good one, but it's going to be kind of reliant upon Transformers. Dramatic Makeover. I love it. Here's a Soundwave there on this side has a rarity shield, and Starscream on this side has a Rainbow Dash axe. That's really fun that they have different stuff, and they're kind of like, I like how Starscream's like, yeah, look at me, I have this battle axe, and Soundwave's just kind of, not Soundwave, Shockwave is kind of like, what's this? So +1 for each complete green book +1 book for each complete green battery controlled by any player. And then we have I Gotcha, which is a +1 move for each completed blue battery controlled by any player. How do you like these apples? Probably like their apple family card. Target player may discard one card from your hand for each different trait you control. Then draw the same number of cards. Cool. So it can be up to 3 because you have 3 different traits. Pause for Applause. +3 luck if you have discovered a Decepticon. Not sure why we're clapping for Decepticons, but alright. He called me inspiring. You may discard 2 resource tokens during 1 card from the active hurdle or final challenge. Ooh, that could be very powerful. Completely Outclassed. 1 of each plus a cloud. If you have discovered an Autobot, this card does not provide cloud when played. Awesome. Iron Filling Casserole. Name a type of casserole. If it was delicious, each player draws 1 card. If it's disgusting, each player moves 1 card from their discard pile from the game. This is one of the weird, like, there's lots of stuff where they're like, perform an action, or like stomp or yell or say this, and I'm like, my thoughts always been like, if you're having fun, go ahead and do it. If you decide you don't want to, I wouldn't tell you not to play it. You wouldn't get the ability. This is odd because it's literally like, pick one of these 2 abilities to use. But it's like, name a casserole. That's a very interesting way of doing that. A boost from Big Mac. +3 luck if there's at least 1 situation in the adventure row. Friends ditch Grimlock again, because he's kind of dumb. You may remove... I love that there's the different artwork on here, too. Some are like the really old 80s cartoon artwork. Some are like the new IDW, like, more realistic artwork. It's kind of fun. You may remove this card from the game to gain ally in the adventure that costs 4 or fewer resources. Take him to the bridge. Why does he have ghost ponies shooting out of him? I don't know. That's interesting. does provide 1 cloud go. Draw 3 cards. While you control this card, you may not attempt to overcome the active hurdle or final challenge. An optimal alliance. Gain a +2 luck token if you have at least 3 different card types of cards in your hand. So in this one, there's only been 3 different types. Leader, Autobot, and Decepticon. There's not been any other type. So this be a little bit trickier. You combine with some of the other sets where you get, Classmates, Crusader, Wonderbolts, Pets. I think that was all of them. I'm probably missing something. Yeah, you're gonna have a much more bigger chance of getting this. Look alive, Equestrian. Get yourself energized for the big race, then draw 2 cards or gain 2 resource tokens. And our final action card is Powerful Pets. Gain 1 Autobot from the adventure roll and place it on top of your deck. Nice. I don't know why you're gaining an Autobot when it has a picture of 2 Decepticons on there. But very interesting. So one thing I do want to point out is there are a couple of cards in here that obviously provide the energy. A couple of cards of their ability either provides energy or does something with a battery. So those cards aren't going to work as well in the other sets because obviously basically their text boxes are blank. And there's a lot of cards that represent Autobots and Decepticons. So if you're not using any of the main characters, the Autobots and Decepticons can still be used with the allies. But if you start removing some of these cards, you might have to just kind of pick and choose which ones you keep. I am glad, though, that none of them specifically reference the tokens or the abilities of the cards. Like, there wasn't anything that was like redraw the space bridge or like redeploy your mini cassettes, because that would really severely limit them. I also noticed versus some of the other sets, there were no cards that specifically mentioned any of the main playable characters. Other sets have had cards like, oh, if you play this card, this character gets this ability or gets an extra token. And they didn't do that with any of the cards in this set, which is kind of nice because enough other cards already have abilities that do that. Alright, so we're going to look at our situation cards, which there are a bunch. So we have 2 copies of most of these. So these are all going to have a lot of very different effects. So we have an immediate effect. The active player shuffles tick back into their deck. So when you draw this, instead of it staying on the table, it goes into your deck. Whenever discarded, add 1 cloud to the final challenge. And then resolve, pay 6, reduce this card by 1 for each Engeron spent. Remove this card from the game when resolved. What's going to happen is these are the Insecticons, and they're just going to keep coming back unless you can defeat them. So instead of being out on the table and you have a couple of turns or multiple turns, maybe you have to deal with the challenge, this is going to pop up, and all of a sudden now you have to, oh, I need to spend energy to get rid of this. I have to get rid of this turn, or it's just going to be in my discard pile. And then when it comes back around, I have to deal with it again. Which is kind of interesting. And then we have some more like that. We have 2 bombshells, which are the same idea. Except this one you have to spend green. Or either 6 move or green. And then we have shrapnel, which is either 6 book or blue energy. So those are really fun because they add a different way the situation cards are used. We have 2 more copies of Sombra's Mind Control. In the adventure row, which we have not seen on a situation card yet, if the active hurdle contains intercept, its effect is applied at the end of each player's turn. Oh boy, so it's going to use it more and more every time. Resolve, pay 1 sugar cube per pony, and then reward, gain 1 ally from the adventure row. Alright, so in these last 3, we only have 1 copy of each. We have Decepticon Attack. In the adventure roll, players must flip 1 hurdle and overcome its chaos. After moving to a new location, your teammates may help you. Success, discard this card and gain 1. If successful, discard 1 green, or discard card and gain 1 green. If failed, add 1 cloud to the challenge. So yeah, every time you move, either you're going to fail and add something, or you're going to succeed and get rid of it. So it's kind of neat, because again, like the Insecticons, where they go on the deck and they add an interesting way for these to work. These, instead of just sitting out actively doing something every single time until you get rid of them, you're going to have to, if you do this action, either you win or you lose. And the other ones are going to be the same idea. We have Decepticon Battalion. Player must flip one hurdle when they move to a new location. But again, teammates may help. If you win, discard a card and gain a blue, or it adds a cloud to the final challenge. And then the last one is Decepticon Crusade. Same thing, except you discard and get a pink. So that's really neat. There's the two different types. You could go in there, you could keep some of them and mix them around and get some different effects. And what's also really fun is because, at least these three, for sure, because they don't rely on the Engeron. So the Insecticons, again, are only going to work if you're playing with some of the Transformer characters, because that's how they earn Engeron. And cards from this set, otherwise there's really no way of earning Engeron. You could potentially limit your game somewhat by just having this. Even if you have a bunch of the other cards out, you gain Engeron slower, because someone would have to be at that location, but they can always gain one every turn, versus having other cards that provide it. But yeah, mixing and matching this set is going to be a little bit trickier than the other set, because it adds that extra type. Alright, then we're going to head into our last bunch of cards, which are our hurdles and our final challenges. Alright, so first up we have a little rules card. We have the Intercept keyword, which we already talked about. During setup, flip and place this card next to the stack of hurdles. This set involves hurdles for the collision course game. It just says, tuck the leftmost target adventure card underneath this card. If the team overcomes the active hurdle before a setback, shuffle all intercept cards in the adventure deck. If the setback is suffered, all intercept cards must be removed from the game. Alright, so our level 1, I'm going to get rid of that, is Misfire and the Rainmakers. So we have, up in the top corner here, we have our cost to overcome this. It's going to be 2 per every pony plus 2. Alright, chaos that we flip for. Intercept 1 ally card. So this comes in, it's going to just steal 1 specific ally card. Overcome are going to be very much the same, so I'm going to swing through them briefly. 1 blue per pony, then flip 1 hurdle for its chaos card. The reward. Target player gains 1 ally from the adventure row. Setback. Discard on all non-situation cards from the adventure row. Oh, that could really hurt. We have Slipstream and the Thundercrackers. Intercept 1 ally. Overcome 1 pink per pony. Flip for chaos. Reward. Each non-active player reveals the top card of their deck and either adds it to their hand or removes it from the game. Setback. All non-active players must each discard 1 ally from their hand if possible. Arachnid and Shadow Striker. I'm sorry, Arachnid. It says intercept 1 action card. Overcome 1 green per pony. Flip for chaos. Reward. Each non-active player gains 1 sugar cube. Setback. Place 1 task token on the first non-repeatable task of all Ponyville locations in play. Interesting, so it's just Ponyville ones. Level 2, we're going to start with Murder King, aka the Killmaster, which I'm surprised this is a card name in the My Little Pony series. So we have Intercept 1 ally card. Overcome 2 blue per pony. Flip for chaos. Reward. Active player gains 2 different resource tokens. Setback. All players must shuffle their discard piles into their deck and then immediately remove the top card from the game. Mind Wipe and Skull Cruncher. Interesting. Intercept 1 artifact. Overcome 2 pink per pony. Flip for chaos. Remove 1 reward. Remove 1 cloud from the final challenge. Setback. Add 2 cloud to the final challenge for each Decepticon in the adventure row. And our final level 2 is Breakdown. It has intercepts 2 action cards. Overcome 2 green cubes per pony. Flip for chaos. Reward. The active player may gain 1 sugar cube of each color they do not control. Setback. Each player must discard sugar cubes, if any, until they control at most 1 of each color. Interesting. Then we have some level 3s. We have Shockwave. Intercepts 2 action cards. Costs 3 pink cubes per pony and flip for chaos. Target player may remove up to 2 of their cards from their discard pile from the game. Setback. Shuffle 2 situation cards at random from outside of the game into the adventure deck. Oh boy. And since you normally only use 8 at most, and you have 11, so you have 3 extra cards sitting around. So they're at least provided for that. We have Starscream, who intercepts 1 ally and action card. Overcome 3 green per pony, plus flip for chaos. Reward. All non-active players may discard and redraw their entire hand, plus 1 card. Setback. All non-active players may discard and redraw their entire hand, minus 1 card. And our final hurdle is Devastator. Intercepts 2 allies. 3 blue per pony, plus flip for chaos. Reward. Target player may pay up to 3 resource tokens to gain the same number of sugar tubes. Setback. Discard the top card from the location deck. So once the locations run out, you don't have them anymore. So that could be very bad. Our final challenges, we're going to start with level 2. Creating Questless rides into battle. She's always coming back for more. At plus 3 cloud cover, Autobots and Decpticons cards cost plus 2 no matter their cost type. At 8 more, start your turn, discard the top card of your deck. To overcome, each player contributes 2 pink, then flips 2 chaos. When friends become foes. Oh, is that Perceptor up there? The top card? Interesting. Sorry. Plus 3. Each time you play an ally card from your hand, discard the top card of your deck. Plus 8. Ignore all game text on allies you control. Overcome. Contribute 2 green cubes. Then flip for chaos. Our level 2. King Sombra brings the chaos. Each time you move to the location, discard the top card of the adventure deck. At 8 plus, place a task token on your location at the end of your turn. Overcome, each player contributes 2 blue cubes and flips for 2 chaos. Our level 3, which is usually our final boss, but not in this game. We have Enter Sombra Knock. At 3 plus, all situation costs plus 3 move to resolve. At 8 plus, when a player flips your character card, that player must discard 1 resource token if able. To overcome, each player contributes 3 sugar cubes, then flips 2 hurdles. Alright, then our final boss, and the first level 4 of any of the expansions, we have Lord Megatron. All allies that generate Engeron when played must be played each turn. Interesting, so it might even hurt some of them Decepticons, could be very bad for that reason. I'm honestly surprised that some of these boss cards don't have like Decepticon listed on for that reason. At 8 plus, battery tokens must now cost 2 Engeron or 2 sugar cubes to flip. Oh, that's mean. And then to overcome, each player contributes 4 sugar cubes, then flips 2 hurdles. Ooh, so that's abusive. But yeah, definitely fun that we have that. We have a brand new 4-1, so that's pretty cool. I just if it said anything different about mixing this with another set, it just same thing it says in all the other ones. Just take out 1 copy of each ally, so you have 1 copy of each ally in action in your deck, and then shuffle them with the other adventure decks. Pretty much that. Alright, so then the last thing I want to go over is something that's not directly correlating to this set. Before I go, let's last minute talk on this. Is definitely some neat effects. The Engeron, the battery thing makes for a unique extra mechanic to the game. My only downside or concern about it is this is going to be kind of a one-off expansion, where the other expansions are all very interchangeable and interminglable. You can mix them all together, intermixable. Some have like more keywords than others. Sometimes they rely on the keywords, and if you take out too many keywords when mixing them, they won't be as effective. That's always the case here, but being that lots of these cards either provide the Engeron or rely on Engeron to do stuff or getting the batteries, they could definitely be like really hard to use if no one controls any of the robots. Maybe there's a way to up the difficulty, maybe having more situation cards or more other stuff, but then maybe provide it so you have your robot and your pony, like maybe you have double player cards, because then you can still use all the adventure cards with the robots, and then use the other stuff, but maybe not include their extra special cards. I don't know, there could be some different house rules. I think there's enough stuff you could always take out and still use and mix match with other sets. It doesn't, so even if you're not necessarily a fan of the Transformers, you could get enough stuff in here to add to the other sets. On the other hand, if you are a huge Transformers fan, I don't know if this is going to have enough Transformer in it to justify you buying this and a base game. If this had all the components that you started off as a second core set and you had all the tokens, you could pick this up and then mix and match it one way or the other. Then maybe I would have recommended just Transformer fans to pick it up and try it out, even if they're not a huge My Little Pony fan. But to justify buying a full expansion and a full core set for just a small Transformer expansion, which probably won't ever have any updates to it, it might be hard to do. It would definitely be cool if they made some extra ones, even if like some of these games, like they make these big expansions and kind of play by themselves. It would almost be neat for some of these effects if they made smaller expansion packs, which I get retail-wise, that can be hard to do. It's not always cost-effective. But even if they just made like, hey, here's an extra Transformer one with like 2 more characters, a couple more cards for each thing, just to add a little extra flair to it. Same thing, there's another expansion that adds a new card type called Festivals. It would be neat if like they made a expanded pack for that. Hey, here's a couple more of these or cards that work with that, rather than expecting a full-on set. Then again, if this is based directly off of either a crossover episode or a comic book, I'm guessing it's probably more of a comic book. If they make a sequel comic book, it might potentially come up, but guessing how well this sells. Alright, so the very last thing we wanted to look at is the Meeple Pack, number 5. So what these are basically anything with Renegade Studios, guys who produce the games. Whenever you pre-order one of their brand new sets, you get a free bonus. And for the My Little Pony games, you get Meeples of all the different characters, which just replace the standees. Obviously, this game is already out, so you can't pre-order it anymore. But you can go pick this up in their store for about $5. But if you are a fan, keep track of their future campaigns, because then you could pick these up. You could pick up the next expansion and get them for free rather than paying for them. They don't add any additional gameplay. They just replace these tokens. They're the same exact physical size. That way, they're just thicker. Although they're not really any thicker than the bases either. But yeah, that's definitely something you can pick up if you're interested in getting these fun little meeples to play with. Alright, so there we have My Little Pony's Adventure in Equestria, Collision Course, the Transformers crossover. It'll be interesting to also see if they eventually add a crossover expansion the other direction. There is the Transformer deck building game. I wonder if at some point we'll get a My Little Pony expansion. Although I know there's a lot of Transformer stuff they're still trying to go through, and I feel like this way was a little bit easier for them to do it versus the other direction. Although they did add Transformers into one of the G.I. Joe sets as well. It'd be interesting to see if they do them the other direction. And if they do, we'll definitely make sure you guys check that out as well. Check out previous expansions. Wait for future expansions. See you guys in the next video. Bye.